Welcome to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista, where we chat with industry leaders and get their take on the challenges facing the market. And maybe we'll have a little fun along the way.
On this week's episode of the Marketing Stir, Vincent is joined by Wendy Robino, Senior Vice President of Marketing Events and Regional Publicity at Warner Brothers Pictures. They talk premieres, influencers, and getting fans in seats.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to another episode of the Marketing Stir. I am your happy host, Vincent Petrofessa. It is so good to be talking to everyone. I am the Vice President of B2B Products and still the interim general manager. I still was not promoted. I'm still interim. Those listeners know the inside joke there, but it is so great to be talking to you again. I feel like it's been a while. I don't know. Have you felt that way? A lot of things have been happening, right? But first, let's talk about Stirista just for like 10 seconds, right? We don't take any advertising on this podcast. We're a marketing technology company. We own our own business-to-business data, business-to-consumer data, plus the technology to push out to that data. We have our own email sending platform, our own demand-side platform. We help companies get new customers. Who doesn't want new customers, right? Also, my co-host, my CEO, AJ Gupta, who I just saw in New York at Advertising Week. We may talk about Advertising Week for a moment. He cannot make it. He is on a board meeting. So his loss, people, because we have an amazing episode today. She's based in LA, but she's in New York a lot because of her role, because of the amazing company she works for. But before I start, I just want to give a special shout out. One of our employees, he is moving on to another company. He's been with Stirista for 11 years. He listens to every one of these podcasts. That's why I'm saying it. His name is Blaine Britton. We wish him so much luck, so many great memories together here at the 6 years that I've worked here. And I know he listens. He's a big fan of the podcast. And good luck, Blaine. We will miss you, but we know you'll still be listening. And let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. Our guest today is from Warner Brothers Pictures. She is the Senior Vice President, Marketing Events and Regional Publicity, Wendy Robino. What's going on, Wendy?
Hey, Vincent. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
It is so great to have you again. We just missed each other, right? You were just in and out at Advertising Week, but we will meet. You're in New York a lot. I know there's so many other places where it's being filmed, but I live in Manhattan, and it is every single day I feel like there's like a premiere or there's something on my street where they're filming, which I love. Maybe some people don't like. I love it. It means so much. Tell us about Advertising Week, what you spoke about, what brought you in to New York for, I think it was just a day for you, right?
Yeah, it was a panel that me and a coworker were on with Westfield Rise, which is kind of the event experiential department of Westfield, which is a chain of really nice malls across the country. We had done a really successful experiential activation at their location in Los Angeles at Century City Mall for a Minecraft movie back in late March, early April. And so they wanted to have a panel and talk about the future of experientials. And so that's what we did. And it was a great time. It was a packed house and we had some great feedback. So we're really glad we did that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and thank you for the Minecraft movie. I have an 8 and a 5-year-old, and oh my goodness, and Lava Chicken and Chicken Jockey. Yeah, it's like
You can
it's
hear that song again. That's for
eh, I know. I even bought my son like a chicken jockey shirt that he wears, and all his friends are like, "Oh my God, that's so cool." So yeah, thank you for that. I'm so excited to talk to you about so many things. Let's get into your role within Warner Brothers Pictures, some of your day to day.
Sure. When I was brought into Warner Brothers back in 2019, it was during a reorganization that the previous head of global publicity had initiated. And what she had decided to do was, which made sense, but initially everyone was a little bit sort of like, what's happening? She decided to make two departments within publicity into one. So originally, my job was actually two different people. There was a head of events that really just focused on the premieres. And then there was what's called the field marketing or regional publicity, And that's the department that oversees all the different markets outside of New York and LA and all the media outlets in those markets. So we're talking Chicago, San Fran, Seattle, Atlanta. And they oversee agencies in those markets to basically execute film campaigns locally. So that was those two departments were combined into one because the field team did do a lot of events and it just made sense to bring it into one cohesive group. So I had both backgrounds. I had worked in field for many years at Universal Pictures. I had ran field at MGM, at 20th Century Fox. And then then once after my Fox stint, I had pivoted over to, what we called the dark side, the agency side, and did experiential marketing and events. So that's how this all came to be. This woman who was running Publicity, we knew each other from our Universal days, and she reached out and said, "I'm combining these two departments. You have skills in both." So basically, I oversee a team that's a really collaborative team, and one set of folks, like I said, handle all of the regional publicity promotions. And what falls under promotions is what we call earned media. So you're working with those media outlets, local morning television, radio, and you're exchanging tickets or an experience for, free advertising. They do stunts in those markets. They engage with influencers in those local markets and just make sure that that campaign is something that works for that local market. The same way that like international territories, you can't do the same thing cookie cutter that you do in France for, say, LATAM, do the same in the local markets. And then the other side is it is film premieres, but we've changed it to marketing events because we also now do all the influencer events, genre press events, awards events. So it's branched out into all these multiple events, experiential stunts. It serves marketing, but it goes beyond just red carpet premieres.
What first drew you into marketing and publicity in the film industry in the first place?
Getting the heck out of Florida, frankly. I was fresh on college.
Getting the heck out of Florida.
I know. I mean, I'm just being honest here.
That's the
Like,
name of the episode, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah,
It's something
like
else.
my major was not marketing. I was all mass comm, and I wanted to be in broadcast news. And I worked for a radio station out of college doing promotions with the radio station. When you have like man on the street, DJs going to Norm Reeves, different car dealerships, stuff like that. And this position became open in Atlanta. And back in the day, movie studios actually had field offices. So the field office that I was hired for was based in Atlanta. We handled the Southeast, so all the southeastern states. So that's where my journey began way back when with Universal. And the very first movie I worked on was a interesting horror movie called Shocker about a guy that was put to death via electrocution and then came back to terrorize everybody. So really high-end stuff. So then, yeah, and then eventually, after 8 years, in Atlanta working for Universal, they had a position open in LA, and I got moved out to Universal City.
That's awesome. Yeah. So from Florida to LA, and I know, I think you and I talk, and I often mention this to people, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, Wendy feels like a New Yorker to me. I think that's a compliment. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's like, and AJ, my co-host who's from San Antonio, he's like, I don't get it. I'm like, come on, it's the feeling, but you never lived in New York, but you're here a lot.
No, no, I always wanted to, but I mean, I'm East Coast, so there's that. But yeah, I would say I definitely have an affinity for New York, and if, had the opportunity presented itself to work in New York, I would have jumped at that chance.
But the weather, you got the great weather out there, and films are still primarily, LA, right? New York, they do a lot here. Like I said, it's always, hustling and bustling with it. And New York's an area, and where I live, you just walk around and there's just like film stars and television stars. This is right in my neighborhood. So yeah, New York is.
Many live there. In fact, one of the filmmakers we're working with on a title next year called The Bride, Maggie Gyllenhaal, is New York based.
Oh yeah, there's. I live in a neighborhood called Tribeca, and there's in Manhattan. It's like tons of them. It's like people. I see every weekend I'm running into someone in the film industry, and that's awesome. I want to get into something because, I mean, look, I also feel that Warner Brothers Pictures was really responsible for a lot of this, right? Where you joined in COVID, but like after COVID, I remember you saying to me, Wendy, when we chatted, we talked about bringing families back to the theater. What kinds of experiences make audiences want to come back? What was that whole process like? You joined during COVID, right? Right before it, and before the 2019, and like it's like boom, all right, welcome to Warner Brothers Pictures. Here's, COVID coming. But talk to us about that whole experience, bringing families back to the theater. What was your experience like there?
We were all kind of shell shocked of like what do we do? And what we did was we pivoted to a lot of virtual things. So I will tell you this, COVID hit March 2020, everything kind of stopped, right? Our first big title coming out that year. We had a couple of titles that we pressed pause on, but we had a really big Chris Nolan movie called Tenet. And so what we did was it was still again in the heart of COVID. The movie was coming out. We had moved the title to August just to give, more breathing room, if you will. And that was the first time we did an in-person press junket, because that's another thing my team handles, our press junkets. And we didn't do a premiere, we couldn't, but we did release the movie in theaters, which it did as well as it could. Let me just put it that way. And at that time, had just launched, I think, HBO Max. I can't really remember. It was right around that. I believe it was right around that time when HBO Max was out. So yeah, it was a struggle because, how do you still get your content out to consumers, but yet the place where your consumers consume are all closed. All the movie theaters are closed. So yeah, I really don't want to, think about it because it was a great time, to be honest. And then to your point, getting people back out into the theater, we had to make sure that the titles that we put forward first felt very cinematic. And not just cinematic, but also communal. Like you wanted to go see a movie with your friends or family because you were so isolated during the pandemic. So that's what we focused on is that community and cinema, the idea of something feeling really big.
And I remember talking on the podcast, we had the CMO of Regal Cinemas, which I know show a lot of your films, and that was kind of it. They were just gutted, right? That they couldn't do that. And, I remember hearing almost the pain in the CMO Ken's voice at the time. But I also remember though that one of your films, Barbie, bringing people back to the theater, bringing families back to the theater. That's what I remember. Yeah, I mean, you're sure you're like, no, we had a couple more, but like I remember, and part of what you do, right, is like I remember South Street Seaport in Manhattan. There was this restaurant or experience that was all pink, and they had people take photos, and it was right near a few movie theaters. There's two right here, and just seeing that, and I didn't see it in the theater, but I remember I saw it, and what a picture, what a movie! Oh my goodness, that being the first kind of like, oh, families are back now. Okay, because it was that whole thing. It was like with them and another Nolan movie, Oppenheimer, and just that, you know, bringing that together. So, I mean, that must be unforgettable too. I mean, it was unforgettable for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say coming out of the pandemic, 2021, and even a lot of 2022, it was still really hard getting people to feel comfortable and come back into theaters. I mean, we had some great movies in 2022 as well that did well. But to your point, I would say that summer of 2023 with Barbenheimer, and having all the other talent like Tom Cruise and others post about, getting into the theater, go, these are movies. I mean, I'm sad you didn't see Barbie in the theater because there's some, numbers in there that are just so great on the big screen. But those two, that sort of, mishmash of those two movies, which couldn't be more different, but it really did kickstart a big push, back. And it's sad to think it took really 3 years back into the theater. I think what's becoming very important, I don't know if you discussed this with the Regal CEO, but is what you don't get on streaming, which, and trust me, I'm a huge streamer consumer as well, but what you don't get is you don't get the premium formats. You don't get IMAX, you don't get RDX, you don't get 70 millimeter or things. And I think that's becoming, educating consumers on the experience of seeing films in those formats like we did on Sinners, and then recently One Battle After Another and VistaVision. I think it's really getting, it's almost like the Gen Z, Gen Alphas, are feeling very nostalgic. So, and they're interested in these formats, and they're coming out for them.
Yeah, well, yeah, you took the words out of my mouth with those recent films. You got some bangers out there right now. It's all the buzz it's getting, and I'm just so happy. And I blame my children for not allowing me to go to the theater as much as I want to because they're little, and it's like, all right, some movies I take them to the theater, right? Like Minecraft, for example. But then there's others where like me and my wife want to go, but we're like, all right, we got to get a babysitter, then we got to go. But there's no better experience because there's no television in someone's home that is the size of a movie theater TV. And it's just the whole process. I love now taking my kids to the movies, but yeah, it's like that experience. And I know I'm happy to see certain comedies, like comedies come back to the theaters, right? I'm such a big fan of it. I like the days of I saw a movie in the theater and you had to see it in the theater because that movie wasn't coming out till another year and it was on VHS and you had to go to Suncoast or whatever it was and you had to get that movie. I miss that. I do. I do miss it. And so I know I still very much go to the movies. I want to start going to more adult, like
Yeah, I would highly,
adult themed,
yeah,
not adult film, adult themed
right. No, we
movies.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not talking about Stormy Daniels starring you. I would say it's worth the babysitter to go see One Battle on a big screen because there's a couple scenes in there, especially at the very end, that you're just cheating yourself if you're not seeing it on the big screen the way Paul shot it. So highly encourage you to make that be your adult night
Yeah,
out.
I
Wife.
know. It's Paul Thomas Anderson and DiCaprio. How do you go wrong? And Del Toro. Oh my goodness.
Oh, Sean Penn is
Sean Penn. Look, yeah, the legend himself. Look how many legends are in there and Academy Award winners. Are you kidding? So speaking of that, you were talking about like these experiences. Like, what makes a red carpet event unforgettable?
wow, even just the 6, 7 years I've been at Warner Brothers, it's changed, honestly. It's evolved even in that short time. What makes it unforgettable, I would say, is when you have a carpet that is designed in a way that's interactive to where even the talent interact with the carpet in fun and playful ways that makes for great social. Because 10, 15 years ago, it was always about the outlets on the carpet, the coverage. I mean, you always had a platform for Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood, and you don't even talk about those outlets anymore. It's really all about these creators. And so we try to make our carpets feel experiential. So like I'll give you a recent example on One Battle. You haven't seen the movie, but there is a great scene with Sensei, which is Benicio del Toro, where he goes down into a bunker through a trap door, and we had a bunker and trap door on the carpet for people to play with, and we even had and there's a great scene you probably saw in the trailer with Leo on a payphone screaming at somebody because he can't remember the code word. We had an actual old school payphone on the carpet for people to hold and take pictures with, and even the talent interacted with it. So things like that, because those images tend to get picked up and go viral, are now what we think about as we're planning our carpets.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Those moments there, like a lot of people have probably never even seen a payphone until that time. Yeah, and it's crazy. I remember calling my mom, collect like, hey, Mom, it's Vin, come pick me up, and then like from a payphone. It's so funny. So Wendy, how do you decide based on whether the premiere should be like really big or kind of a little bit more intimate and low key? Just for the listeners, does every movie get a premiere in some way?
It's a great question, actually, Vincent, because every filmmaker wants to have their moment. I get it. We all get it. Like they want to have their party and celebrate, and because it's like this culmination. But at a certain point, you got to think about what's right for the film. What's the best way to spend the money that's going to do the film justice? So the last Conjuring movie, the final chapter, we did not do a red carpet premiere. What we decided to do instead was we did three fan screenings. We did New York, Atlanta, and LA. LA had the director, Michael Schaubs. Atlanta had Vera and Patrick, and then New York had the Warrens. And we just leaned in hard to the creators and influencers. We had a couple fun photo ops for them to take and post, and we just did collabs with these creators. We did like a pre-reception, and that was it. The film, opened number one. It was the highest grossing Conjuring movie, and it was the right decision. Now, was the filmmaker totally on board from day one with that plan? No, we had to get him there, but then he saw everything coming out of those three screenings and was thought it was great. But to answer the rest of your question about how big or small, like any business, there's margins. I don't want to get too into the financials because even I don't understand it completely. It's not my area, but then you know what the tent poles are, right? You know Barbie is going to be huge. We had a giant ass premiere at the Shrine Auditorium. F1, took over 2 blocks in Times Square. We're at Radio City. You kind of know which ones are the right ones to go really big. And then you know which ones are ones where let's spend our money in other more effective ways. Because even though a big part of my job is red carpets, I do have to realize that it's not sometimes the best way to spend marketing dollars.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But I want to get into, you've said before you can't make fetch happen. How do you recognize when a campaign idea won't work, even if it sounds good on paper?
If there's no way to have additional layers, like if it's challenging to make something easily shareable, I think that's a red flag. I think if there's no opportunity for publicity layer or extension, I think that's a red flag. I think that if there's no way to have a big major, digital component, I think that's a red flag. So I'm sure we have really great ideas, but when you then get into the nitty gritty of, and we've had some things that didn't work because we didn't consider those elements. But so I think now we took learnings from that. And now we think about, okay, well, what's the shareable coming out of this? How is it going beyond just doing this one thing in San Diego? Right, that we're spending money. What's coming out of San Diego? So if we're going to spend all this money in San Diego doing an activate, like what's coming out of that, and thinking about that. That's where we start. We think about our goal, and then we think about how we reach that goal. What are those levers we're going to pull to do that?
Nice. These are some more fun questions, and then we get to know you personally a little bit here. But this is a question we ask all of our guests. Wendy, you must get solicited all the time through LinkedIn. What's a message that resonates with you, and what is one that you just never reply to, you hate? It's, come on, what are you doing? Sort of thing.
Okay, I will start with the second half because it's easy to answer. When I get solicitations and it's clear people haven't looked through my profile and seen the work that I do, because I'll get solicitations for, digital metrics and things like that. Like I don't even pretend to be. I work closely with our digital team, but I am not a digital marketer, so I don't even look at those or like, database management, things like that. I mean, look at what this person does, and if it doesn't jump out at you that you have something to offer them, just reach out to somebody else.
And which one that resonates with you? Yeah.
Well, there's two kinds. I do respond to young people that are recent grads or in school and just want to learn more. Really, I give them credit for having the gumption to reach out, especially if they write a nice, well-written note and explain why they're interested in speaking with me. I always pay attention to those. And then the other more business-minded one would be, if they call out something we've done in the past and then they share something that they've done similar and how successful it was.
Wendy, talk to us about, right? This is some of my favorite times of the year because you get these amazing films that come out that are Oscar worthy, and then you get into the holiday time, and like those are some like fondest memories of films. What are some films that you're working on that you're excited about that's coming out?
In 2023, we were working on releasing Wonka and Color Purple and also awards campaigns for Barbie and Color Purple and Wonka. So that was tough. I'll say upcoming films that I'm excited to be working on is definitely we have a relationship with Lucky Chap, which produced Barbie. It's Margot Robbie's production company with her husband. And we have Wuthering Heights coming out around Valentine's Day. And then The Bride, I sat through that film twice. I loved it. I think it's, some people are going to love it. Some people are maybe not so much their taste, but it definitely is something up for discussion. And that is, like I said, Maggie Gyllenhaal's film that has Christian Bale, and it is great. I'm looking forward to Don't Laugh, but the Mortal Kombat 2 movie is great. I
Now you're talking to a kid from the 90s who loves Mortal Kombat. The very first video game I ever got on Sega Genesis back in the day. I love it.
so ridiculously fun. You are going to love this movie that comes out May 8th, and it is just a ride. It's so ridiculous that you just can't stop laughing and having a good time. So,
That's awesome. Yeah.
yep.
Mortal Kombat. No, I love it. What are you crazy? I love that movie. That's
Yeah, what is it? Finish him.
finish
That's
him. Yeah,
the one.
oh, I love it.
Yeah.
And this is a question from Hudson Petrofessa, age 8, my son. Will there be another Minecraft movie? Can you reveal it? You might not be able to, but this is coming from an 8-year-old third grader here in New York City. I told him who I was talking to, told him the movies that you work on, and that was his question.
I would tell your son that sometimes dreams really do come true, but we'll see.
Nice. That'll be, yeah, that'll be, I think he'll be excited. Yeah. And then, and can he meet Jack Black? No, I'm kidding. That's
I mean,
talk
honestly,
about dreams come true.
yeah, I
That's
mean, you
like,
never know. Jack loves the kids and he's such a great guy. So, I mean, they both are actually. So, if and when that happens, I think your son needs an invitation to the premiere.
oh my goodness. He would think I'm the coolest dad in the world, and that'd be amazing. Yeah, you see those videos with like Jack Black. You ever see him on that one episode of the Kelly Clarkson show where he met the kid from Love on the Spectrum? Oh my God, Wendy, I was like in tears. It was, oh my, you're like, this is the greatest, like the nicest man in the world. Jack Black is. Yeah, he was promoting the Minecraft movie, and watch it. You could go watch that. It's like he meets the one of the guys from Love on the Spectrum, that TV show, and he's like Jack Black's like his hero. He starts tearing up. Jack Black. It's amazing. Yeah, just be ready to cry. It's like I was like at my desk and I'm like, what is happening? Yeah, but anyway, what do you like to do for fun? I want to understand what you like to do on the weekends. Either you or someone in your family is a huge Elvis fan because I see pictures, I see pillows. Tell me about that first, and then tell me about your hobbies, what you like to do out there in LA.
Well, Elvis, I just grew up with Elvis. I feel like, for parents that are like in their 70s, 80s, you were either a Beatles or an Elvis fan family. I mean, I guess you could be both, but my mom was an Elvis fan. So I just grew up with Elvis and love his music. And I can watch that 68 comeback special over and over again. And I just, I've been to Graceland multiple times. Then we ended up junketing at Graceland, which was a dream come true. Been to his birthplace in Tupelo, and I really hope his sort of legend status doesn't die off. I do get worried, but and it's just shocking that Lisa, I still can't believe Lisa Marie, that her passing, that just blew us all away. As far as like hobbies, now that the kids are grown up and I don't have to like spend the weekends on a soccer field anymore, which is fantastic. My whole family, my husband and I, and our kids too, we're big winter sports folks. So we can't wait for winter. I'm so over. I'm a never summer person. Like, take me to any mountain.
Wow. The,
Uh,
the the irony there, right?
yeah, but hey, LA, like 2 hours away, you're on a mountain skiing.
Yeah, that
So
is
it's
true.
actually great. So I snowboard. The rest of my family skis. I was a terrible skier many years ago, so I've been snowboarding about 30 years, and so we do that on the weekends. And then, other than that, just I'm up for whiskey or wine tastings or wine festivals or anything like that?
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And this Sunday, I will be at two soccer games,
Oh,
coaching the 5-year-old and attending the 8-year-old. I know. Oh, that's at least it's like one day. My son doesn't do like the 3 days a week. He didn't want to do it. But yeah, no, I feel you. That's awesome. Wendy, it has been a pleasure getting to know you and talking to you. I hope we meet in person. Get out there, ladies and gentlemen. Go see some of the films. It's such a great time. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Wendy Robino. She's the Senior Vice President, Marketing Events and Regional Publicity at Warner Brothers Pictures. AJ is in a car somewhere. I've been Vincent Petrofessa. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Stir podcast by Stirista. Please like and subscribe. If you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, please email us at themarketingstir@stirista.com.